Welcome to the Quick Sub F1 podcast. My name is Nyasha and you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. I appreciate that. It's just me today. I thought that I've been away for a while. I missed talking to you guys. I missed podcasting. And I thought, you know what? I want to be selfish. I want you all to myself. So that's what we're doing today. On Twitter, I asked you guys to send me in your questions. So I'm going to answer them. I've got myself a cup of tea. Sometimes this mug is filled with alcohol, but I can promise you that it's filled with tea today. So let's have a cup of tea in the chat or a brew in the chat if you're from the UK. Remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, give us a like and a subscribe. If you're watching us, listening to us on Spotify, give us a 5-star rating. If you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure to give us a rating and a review. And you've got Patreon there for the ad-free stream. Right. That's out of the way. As you can tell, I'm quite rusty. But let's get into it. And this week, we are going to China for the first time since 2019. And it's an exciting time. It's crazy. It's a great track. And Denny, let's get this question up, asked us at FIA Girly. Obviously, go to her for all of that good news, updates on everything Mercedes and F1 related. Denny, FIA Girly, asks, are you excited for the Chinese Grand Prix? It's always good vibes for Team LH. Man, no one has more fun than Lewis Hamilton in Asia. Like, that guy loves it. And the reason why he loves it is that he gets all of that love reciprocated back to him in abundance. The guys out there, whether it's Singapore, whether it's Japan, but specifically in China, they love them some Lewis Hamilton, and the vibes are always correct. They come to support their guy, and it's brilliant to see. I think for those of you who probably started watching after 2019, for me, I would say it was probably the one race where you really saw the love Lewis had in the same way that you would see it at Silverstone. And maybe how we all felt looking at Brazil 2021, that first season when, you know, Brazil was awash with purple and the flares and the support, and you could visibly hear the crowd roar and cheer for Lewis, and all that excitement that we felt in that race in 2021, which is obviously a race that we hold so dear to a lot of our hearts as Lewis Hamilton fans. The vibe is quite similar to that in China. And for me, unless I'm wrong, for me, that's the race where I would have said outside of Silverstone, that's where the Team LH love really is at, and it's really felt on like a fanatical level. Like, he is a rock star out there, and it's crazy to think that, you know, if you'd asked me in 2007 when Lewis Hamilton started racing, you know, where would he have like one of his strongest fan bases, I never would have been able to guess China. And I think that speaks to the volumes of the guy that he is. You know, he truly does transcend the sport, whether people want to admit it or not. You can sit in your house typing away, Lewis Hamilton is not bigger than the sport. You can say that as much as you want until you are blue in the face. Whether you want to admit it or not, he is absolutely bigger than the sport, and going to places like China, I think, proves that. And for me, I'm so excited for that level of things, because obviously on the track, I'm expecting fuck all. Like, absolutely nothing whatsoever. Like, why would I expect anything? Have you seen the last 4 races? Probably slept through them because they're at ridiculous times. Yes, people who live on that side of the world or the other side of the world are saying, well, we have to do that all the time. I don't care. I have not lived my life having to sleep on the couch to make sure that I wake up for F1 races and watch them. It's tiring. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Can't wait for China, and definitely can't wait to see the reception that Lewis gets. Righty-ho. Whoa, speaking of transcending the sport, another one of our favourites, Amazing Lou Rashi. And if you don't know about Rashi, she is the go-to person for anything Lewis Hamilton fashion related. Whenever he turns up to the tracks in all of those cool fits, she's the one who's able to document precisely what this man is wearing. She's got close links to the inner Lewis Hamilton inner circle. She's able to sometimes she just asks him, King, what are you wearing today? And he'll just be like, Gucci. Like, doing just one word. Like, it's crazy. Respect to Rashi. But she asks, please tell us about your favourite look from Lewis this year. No cheating. Please pick only one. What I will say before I answer this question is, and no disrespect to Eric, I think he's doing a great job. I think Lewis's style is evolving. I would say recently, and maybe this is a personal choice from Lewis, probably is, given that he is the one wearing these clothes, I'm not seeing as many show-stopping, jaw-dropping looks as we were seeing in 21 and 22. And obviously, I know that's when Law was styling him. I think there may have been a crossover point, so I don't want to disrespect the work that Eric's doing. But we're not seeing like as many, but that could be a personal decision for Lewis to kind of, maybe want to tone it down a bit. Maybe that's the style he's going with. But, a lot of my favorite looks from Lewis are from 21 and 22 even had some ridiculous fits. From the top of my head, and again, 21, 22, the red full suit in Saudi Arabia, the leather kind of matching jacket and trap myself on mute. The matching leather jacket of Charles Lecombe that I think he wore in Miami on the first Miami race. Some of the tracksuits even he was wearing, around those times. I'm a massive fan of the tracksuit looks. So I would say those are my all-time favorites. This season, however, I had to research it because I was like, Instagram, why would you do that to me? I had it up and now it's gone. Give me 2 seconds. It was the Saudi Arabia look from this year. And I'll link that to you, Chris, so you've got that. But there's the brown, sleeveless vest / jacket, sleeveless jacket, brown with the black boots. And I'm just going to read straight from, if Rashi's asking me, I'm just going to read straight from what she said here. Lewis seen wearing Gucci by Sabato Desano. This style was styled with Jacqueline Walker sunglasses, Suzanne Kalen pink sapphire necklace worth 27 grand, and a custom made necklace as well. How many necklaces has this guy got? And an IWC watch that costs 33 grand. Do you know what's crazy? I remember when Lewis first started dressing on his, and it wasn't even dressing on his own, but he first started wearing his Cuban necklace, the big Cuban necklace. And I remember thinking wow, that's the coolest shit. I've never seen an F1 driver with essentially a hip hop style chain, just rocking up to tracks, rocking up to press conferences in a Cuban diamond necklace. I said, holy shit, this shit is fly as fuck. And to see the evolution of that across the years and it to get more bold and bold and bold, to the point where we're at now, where Lewis has these shoots. Man, did anyone see the GQ shoot? Like, guys, this man races cars for a living. And this is the thing, yeah? What I don't get about the Lewis Hamilton haters, and they always like compare him and say, oh, look at this like modern representation of an F1 driver. It's fucking bullshit. Back in the day, this wouldn't happen. The whole point of a motorsport driver is to emanate luxury, to be aspirational, stylish, handsome, getting with the finest women or men on the planet. Lewis is doing that. Like, Lewis is literally doing that. So how can you hate on a man that dresses well, is insanely rich, wants to save the dolphins and whales and clean beaches, and is just putting this sport on the map in ways that you could not even imagine? And then look at the grid. Zhou wearing his little double-breasted pinstripe jacket with the black loafers at Monte Carlo or somewhere where they were playing tennis the other day. Lando Norris has come out with his own merch line, doing his own thing. Daniel Ricciardo will sell anything. He's selling swim shorts. He's selling wine. He's selling his face. Like, what is there to hate? We should be appreciating this shit, man. Like, it does my nut. It does my nut. He's like, the eyes that he's put on the sport, we should be fucking grateful for it, because that's how sports grow. And you guys that want to gatekeep it and keep it as this niche engineering, horrible little pure racing thing, suck. You're scaring the hose, bro. Do you know how cool it is when we do live shows and it's like 70% women? I don't want to do a live show with middle-aged white men and their receding hairlines, respectfully. I want to do live shows and be involved with people who are young, enthusiastic, funny, and a good mix of the crowd. That's what we want. So if you're trying to gatekeep someone like Lewis Hamilton, who's only bringing eyes to the sport in a good way, having massive articles, and he's been honoured by GQ as like a creative force in the world, not just in F1. All the time, it comes back to F1. So people see him and they go, oh, I wonder who that is. Maybe I'll tune into the sport. Maybe I will watch Drive to Survive. Yes, do I wish the racing was better? Of course. Do I wish the fucking sport was better run? Of course. But you can't get at a man for being a great ambassador for the sport, guys. Come on, man. Come on, man. Do you know what I mean? That's what I've got to say on that, to be honest. But thank you for that question, Rashi, and thank you for your support, as always. Right. Actually, Silka has a very good question, who says she loves Zhou and the vibe and style he brings, but do you think he's doing enough to stay in F1, or does a shitty car and team make it hard to tell? I just want to say again, Zhou being able to come out and say, like, Lewis Hamilton inspires me, and for him to do that and be so bold in his fashion senses, we want personalities in the sport. And I love that he's so bold with his fashion senses. And I love that, you know what? I love that these guys are able to make money outside of the sport. We should be happy that these guys are able to branch out. Every other sport does it. Footballers, basketball players, NFL players. These players have endorsements from all over. And they're able to cultivate their brands and make money and provide us with products and endorsements of things that we want to get involved with as fans. That's cool as fuck. Like, I love that. And we should be celebrating that. Do I think he's doing enough to stay in the sport? He's fucked. Respectfully. Because the car is so bad. His money will be able to keep him around long enough, but you've got to be beating a teammate, and he's not doing well enough against his teammate, who is a good driver, you know. But the car, it's hard when you're a young driver and the car isn't a great car. But I would be surprised. I would be surprised if he was on the grid next year. But he always seems to manage to stay. And I think, you know, when you look at the money that he brings in, it's hard to drop him. He's not like Logan Sargent bad, where, you know, it's quite obvious that Logan's not of the required standard. Sorry, my moustache is really going in my nose. That's better. Sorry. I don't think he's that bad, but he is bad enough that he is not doing well enough. And I think it's a shame, because I like him as a character. And I think we need more characters in the sport, right? And I think that's super important. Right. There was a question I wanted to read out, which was a good question. Here we go. There's a lot of questions about Toto Wolff and Mercedes. I don't want to spend too long on this, because I feel like I've spent the last, well, obviously I wasn't around for a few weeks, but that chilled babe, Ralph, big up to you, Ralph. He says, my question is, what do you think will be the trajectory for Mercedes for the rest of the season? Down! Down, 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 down! Finished! Finito! Bro, they cannot engineer themselves out of a fucking soft play area right now. Mercedes are, like, you know, when people take their kids to, like, the ball pit, and even though the ball pit is not water, you'll see a couple kids in there just drowning in the ball pit. Like, you know, Scotty, get out of the ball pit. Just stand up. You're fine. That's Mercedes right now. They're fucked. Respectfully. Like, they are absolutely fucked, because they don't understand the regulations. No one there understands the regulations. That's why they don't understand the car. Because they've made 3 shite cars. Like, 3 progressively worse cars. Do you know how bad that is? To make a car, know that it's got flaws, make another one, make more flaws, make another one on top of that, and that car is even worse than the 2 that came before it. It's insane. That is operational negligence. Like, if a football manager team regressed year on year on year from being, like, in Europe to then being in, like, out of Europe to then being, like, middling mid-table, they would sack the manager. So a lot of questions around Toto Wolff. I think it's time to go, respectfully. Because the buck stops with him. I think there's been a massive drain of intellectual brain power in Mercedes, with people leaving. I don't think they've been able to replace them. I don't think the reintroduction of James Allison, has had the required effect. Because I think as an organization, they've completely failed to comprehend the task at hand. It reminds me of when Mercedes in, like, 2009 interpreted the regulations that, I think it was like the weight regulations, that it had to be like, I think there was a number of around 20 kg something, or had to be within 20 kg, and they interpreted it as you have to be over 20 kg of this, and basically built a boat. Like, built an absolute boat, which they managed to eventually, engineer their way out of, upgrade it, and Lewis did win 2 races that season, I think. But they have really dropped the ball in this regulation series. And obviously, look, there's factors at play. You've got the cost cap. They can't just spend their way out of out of mishaps the way they could in the past. You have the fact that the engines are pretty much equalized now. So, even if you can't really have like an engine advantage in the ways that they did in the beginning of the turbo hybrid era, the regulations themselves are so narrow, there's not much room for real kind of innovation. And look, I think I read an article today from Adrian Newey, who basically said even Red Bull are plateauing in the aerodynamic gains that they're finding with their design. And that was a pretty radical body change from what they had last season. And even with that, they're struggling. And they were saying that with the last iteration of their car, that was essentially done in terms of like gains that they were getting from an aerodynamic sense. So what are we doing here? What are Mercedes doing here? And what they could do is stop being sassy with fans. What they could do is stop making crap jokes about it. And essentially fix the car. For fuck's sake. It's dog shit. It's absolute dog shit. Like, fix it now, ASAP, please. We're wasting prime Lewis Hamilton years right now. He is closer to the end of his career than the start of it. At some point, he's going to go retire and make movies and make clothes and make non-alcoholic beverages, and he's just going to be selling us thing after thing after thing after thing, and we're just going to be munching that, buying it all up like the neat burger franchise he's selling to us, and we're not going to have racing. And then what do we do after that? If we've had 3 years that they wasted, thank God for Ferrari. Forza Ferrari. Amen. Because what a waste of time these last 3 years has been for everyone involved in Mercedes. From the drivers to the staff who work tirelessly, I'm sure, to Toto, the directors, the sponsors. Absolute dog shit. And not my problem next year. Give a fuck. So thank you for that question, Ralph. Right, next question. I would like to actually talk about some more personal stuff. So thank you for the question. Oh, actually, quick one from Lisa, who is at Check the T. Hello, Lisa. Long-time supporter. How are you doing? Right. Lisa asks, do you think Daniel Ricciardo deserves his position in F1, and should the sport be praising Yuki more? I find the erasure of Yuki Tsunoda to be an absolute stain on the sport of F1. What more does this guy have to do? And how much less does Daniel Ricciardo have to do? We're already into Daniel Ricciardo. We've got stages of Daniel Ricciardo, right? I've clocked this guy from early. You never con an honest John. An honest John cannot be conned, Daniel. And I am an honest John. And let me tell you now, you cannot fool me. You cannot trick me. 4 stages of Daniel Ricciardo, and I've just made that 4, so I'm going to try and make it fit. 4 stages. Daniel Ricciardo comes in. Wow, 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 wow. This is so fun. Second stage after that, unlucky Daniel Ricciardo. Oh, something unlucky has happened. I've had retirements like he did in Red Bull. I've crashed a car and broke my wrist. Okay, we'll give you some leeway because of that. Then we get into, I'm just not quite understanding the car. The car, I just need to fundamentally, I just need to get used to the car. Once I get used to the car, everything's going to be blessed. And then we get into puppy dog, sad eyes, I'm fucked. I'm not as good as I thought I was, Daniel Ricciardo. He is washed. Finished. And I'm sick and tired. You know what? The reaction I got for saying that in 2022, when it was patently clear to anyone who had eyes, I want apologies from each and every one of you. All of you. You tried to come at me saying, getting at his mental health. Don't belittle people who actually have mental health issues. Was Daniel Ricciardo in a bad place mentally? Maybe. Does that take away from the fact that his performances on the track were pants? Guys, it's happening again. I saw the puppy dog guys. They gave him new chassis. They gave him, maybe sat him down. You know when your parents sit you down and they're like, do your homework. I'm sure they'd say, Daniel, give me that PlayStation controller. Sit down and read this car's manual. Read the manual. Sit in the sim. And what happened? Yuki washed him again. What more does Yuki have to do? He's clearly not going to be considered for the main seat, but Yuki knows. Yuki knows that 2025, 26? Well, how long has Lance Stroll got? Like, how long is he sticking around for? I mean, he's probably going to stick around for 2026 just to see if the car's good enough. But Honda are definitely going to ask to put Yuki Tsunoda in there. Like, that's got to be 100% the case. I would be so surprised if at some point in the future, Yuki Tsunoda doesn't end up at Honda. Even if that means Lawrence paying another team to take Lance Stroll. Or Yuki waiting until Fernando's contract is up in 2026. But Yuki's good. And I think that's why it's important for us as fans. We'll big him up. We'll point out the reels. We'll let people know that this guy's not to be played with. He's doing a good job. He's a solid driver. People have made very good careers out of being solid midfield drivers. Sergio Perez made a great career out of it. Nico Hülkenberg has made an incredible career out of being a solid midfield driver. You want me to go back? Giancarlo Fisichella, solid midfield driver. It's absolutely fine. And do I think Yuki is capable of winning world championships? Maybe not. But do I think that the constant kind of shifting of goalposts and how to analyze and assess Yuki's performances is ridiculous. And we all know why. I'm not going to say it, but we all know why. I don't have to say anything less. Next question. Don't piss me off, bruv. Honestly. Right. Let's get into some personal things. So, Suzanne Fitz. Big up, Suzanne. Always supporting, always commenting. We really appreciate all of your support. You have asked a few questions. How you're growing Quickstop. So a question on how we're growing Quickstop. And I think someone else asked if we're going to Monza next year. Yes, they did. Adelina Daniela asked if we're going to Monza next year. And I think someone else asked, let me get it up so I can just get your name on the screen. Someone else asked if we're going to any races this year. And I will answer that. Which races are you going to do the podcast from this year? Okay, so I'll answer all of this in one fell swoop, if possible. Uh, so, sorry, yeah, let me read out who asked that. That was um, Fogole W. Coco is a slam winner. Big up to you, big up yourself. Right, how do I describe this? How do I answer this? So I moved to Manchester from London with the goal of essentially being able to have more time and a space where I could grow the business side of Quickstop as much as I could. And the reason why I was off, uh, the reason why I was off from podding was that I have found the move on my own to a city 200 miles away from everyone that I know quite difficult in ways I didn't imagine. And I guess I'm talking about it just for openness and transparency. My mental health really struggled, and it hit kind of rock bottom around, I guess it was Japan. It's kind of meant that I've been nowhere near. You probably noticed we don't do as much shorts as we used to, and issues with merch and stuff, and it's just been mad difficult. But everything's kind of getting better now. And you'll definitely start to see more stuff from us. I think, me, Chris, Tasha, Tandy, we all talk quite a lot about, things we want to do and ways we want to improve things. And there's so much stuff that we're going to do to make better, just some varied content. And I want to make F1 content every day. I wake up with ideas to make content. I just want to put a microphone on, talk about F1 every day. And I will do that. I really want to do really cool merch that's super, that people who don't even listen to Quickstop want to wear, and I want to do live shows, and I do want to go to races. However, it's got to be right, I think, for us to go to a race and for us, America's not off the table this year, but I would love to go to another country and document it. And I thought I'd love to I'd love to go to different countries and document being in that country and and meeting fans in that country. I'd love to go to Brazil. I'd love to go to Sao Paulo, man. I'd love to go to Japan. Monza next year is definite. Those ticket prices, and that's the other thing as well. We were quite lucky, essentially, that Austin was paid for with 2 years of merch sales, basically. And you have to kind of weigh up the cost benefit analysis of doing stuff like that. And I think, but there was so many lessons learned from that as well, where it could be done better, it could be done more efficiently. The stories that we could probably tell about the Austin trip and some of the things that happened, and the stresses of setting up the venue and pick up you guys that came, and you guys were waiting outside for 20-25 minutes because we weren't quite ready to get the space ready, because trying to get out of the fucking, even though we left this track early, that was it took us 2.5 hours or something stupid to get back to Austin from the racetrack. So there's so many logistical things that you need to take into account when doing these things, and there's such massive operations that with us, if we're going to do something, we want to do it right, we want to do it properly, we want to put our all into it. And I think for me, how I want to grow Quickstop, the main thing about this year and why I wanted to move, getting back to that, is that I just want to be as consistent as possible for you guys, but consistently better in every way. And I want us to have like the best YouTube channel, and I want us to have the best Instagram shorts and TikTok and all of those things. Like, I think it's a miracle that we have the fans we have, and we kind of neglect a lot of things that we should do. And that's what I really want to concentrate on this year. And, I think for the Londoners, we're definitely going to do a London live show, at least 2 this year. I'd love to do one for the British Grand Prix. So, I guess we are working on that. And hopefully I'll have something to announce on that by like May. Fingers crossed. And I'll tell you a story, actually. So we the last show we did was in a pub. It was my friend's pub, who I've known since I was 12 years old. I'd actually asked him if we could do a British Grand Prix live show, and he just I don't think he understood what I was trying to say, or I don't think he believed that I could sell out the tickets for that. So he literally ignored me twice on text. And we talk every day in a group chat. And then I messaged him privately and he ignored it twice. And then I saw him one day and I was like, look, you need to let me do a live show. Like, I think it was after we did the cinema live show. And I kind of showed him the pictures from that. And I think he was like, oh, okay. And, we did the live show. Obviously, we sold the tickets out in like 2 days or whatever. The venue was too small. But I loved that side. Like, Tandy loves the bigger shows, the Austin show, we had like a green room, the cinema show, which is like super fancy. I love the pub shows. Like, I just love how raw it is. I love just spending all that time with you guys. I feel like the connection that we have with you guys really comes out when we get to meet each other. And I compare it to like a band. Bands play in these like small, ill-fitting kind of venues, but that kind of, those are like the best shows. When you see an artist that you love before they get super famous, and it's like this intimate show, and those are some of the best shows. That's how I feel about the pub shows. And so, he obviously came and he watched the show, and he came up to me afterwards and he said that he was like, that is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. Like, the energy. He was like, so it was in an upstairs pub, and then downstairs is like the normal pub where everyone is, but it's not like enclosed. So I don't know if you can peep down, but the stairs are open, so you can kind of like, the sound will travel upstairs and downstairs. And so obviously the race was on. It's Brazil, and we've got 45 people upstairs cheering and shouting, watching F1, booing when George Russell come on the radio. And he said that it was so loud upstairs that people downstairs were like, what is going on up there? Like, it sounds so much fun. And he was like, he's always watched F1 as well, but he's not as big a fan as I am. And he said, I never expected an F1 show to be as diverse as what you guys have, to be as enthusiastic. And for you and Tandy, he was like, did you guys script that? And I was like, no, we never script anything. We don't even have show notes. We just riff. And he was like, that is ridiculous. Like, the way that you guys were able to like interact with the crowd. And so, and it's not even about, the fact that I am an incredible presenter, it's not about that. Although, I am. No, but in all seriousness, I think for someone outside of the sport and outside of F1 to look at what we have as a family, we really are a family, and for them to see that, I think it's cool. So I think going back to the original questions is I want to grow the family we have and the connection we have. I don't want like, I don't want 1 million subscribers. I know it's as silly as that sounds. I'd love 100,000. Like, that's like, for me, that's kind of like where I'd like it to go, and then anything after that. But really and truly, I'm not saying I want that this year, but what I want is, I'd rather have like 100,000 people who fuck with us heavy, and we're still like this niche thing, than us becoming like a version of Matt and Tommy. Matt and Tommy, no. Matt and, I can't remember what those guys are called, but the guys who used to do WTF1. That's what I want us to be bigger, but stay the same. I've got no plans of us becoming watered down, of us becoming sellouts for F1 tickets and shit like that. I do want to go across the world meeting you guys, doing shows, maybe not even doing, I've toyed with the fact that, do we even need to do like a live show? Can we just go there and like collaborate with local labels and artists, like music artists, and just put on a fucking party? Like, let's just have like a Team LH party. Like, can we create like Team LH, the same way like there were like the Renaissance parties all over the world when Renaissance came out last year, or 2 years ago now. Could we have that all over the world? Like, could we have that in the UK? Could we have that in fucking South Africa? Could we have that in Italy after Monza? Like, do you know what I mean? That's what I want, rather than, I love the live podcast stuff, pardon me, but I don't know, I want to push it. We've done the live podcast stuff, and I love doing live podcasts. They're great. But I want to push the envelope even more. We've always been pushing the envelopes. But no matter what people say, or what people think, yeah, meetups, Chris has just said. Yeah, meetups. Like, I want to foster a sense of community that we have online and take that offline in whatever way. And I think, but I don't want it to revolve around people purely coming to watch and see us. I want people to come and find other Team LH friends and just have fun. And I think, why can't we do that? Like, why does everything have to be like podcast related? Why can't we just do fucking cool shit? So that's the plan on growing the pod and the business. And yeah, look out for some really cool stuff. And yeah, thank you for rocking with us this far. Like, it's been an incredible journey. It was our 3rd birthday on the 26th of March. I didn't say anything because I was depressed. and for us to be where we are in 3 years, where we're even thinking about doing stuff like this, and for us to be able to have the support we have is honestly, it's really humbling. Trust me, as someone who's done creative ventures, who's seen people do creative ventures, there's no F1 podcast like ours. And people have tried to copy it. People have, copied a lot of the stuff that we've done, that we did first. We made it cool as fuck to just be ignorant and funny and swear and like all of that shit. No F1 podcast was doing that before us. We made that shit cool. And I'm really proud of just having an identity. And people who hate us, you can hate us, that's fine. In the words of someone who recently got cancelled in the UK, whose name I just remembered I can't say, everyone who likes this, let's go. Everyone who likes that, go that way. Final question is from... this was a really lovely question. Right. Cess Varmulton. they asked. They asked, what was your guys' dream jobs as kids and why? This is really, really cool question. So, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a TV presenter, like more than anything. Like, oh my God, I used to watch TV. I used to, God, I'm so old. There used to be this show, I'll go right back to this. There used to be this show called Strike It Lucky with a guy called Michael Barrymore, who famously had a guy turn up dead in his swimming pool one day. RIP to that man. But I used to watch it, and I used to watch the show, and I just loved the idea of presenting. I was like this 6, 7 year old, like, oh my God, I want to be on TV. And the older I got, TV presenters did the coolest shit. They interviewed rappers and they interviewed television people, and they got to go to cool places and they did cool shit and they were whacking. They just got to be on TV, and that's all I ever wanted. So when I was like 18, I went to uni and I started doing stand-up comedy. And the whole reason I did stand-up comedy was because the presenters that I liked, Russell Brand, also turned out to be wrong. And wow, this is not a good list of idols. Don't like him anymore. But Russell Brand was like a presenter, and I was like, I want to be a presenter like Russell Brand. So then what did Russell Brand do? He was a stand-up comedian. Okay, I'm going to do stand-up comedy. And I started doing stand-up comedy. I had like 4 or 5 gigs. Then I entered this competition called So You Think You're Funny, which is like the biggest amateur stand-up competition in the UK. And I got to the semi-final, which meant that I got to perform at the biggest comedy festival in the UK, which is the Edinburgh Comedy Festival. So I got to travel up to Edinburgh and perform in this competition. In the semi-final, I must say, in the quarterfinal, I did so good in my set that I got a standing ovation. And that feeling is better than any other feeling I think I've ever had. I've never had goosebumps on my arm in that sense for being happy. Like, it was crazy. Like, it's all over my body. I'll never forget it. So I was like 19 at this point. Going to Edinburgh, and I've got dreams. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get scouted. This is my big chance. Oh, I'm going to smash it. And I bombed. Oh my God. You have never seen someone bomb so hard in your life. It was ridiculous. Like, I can't describe it. Ridiculous. How bad that set went. I was 19 years old. The quarterfinal was like to a student crowd. I'm talking about getting head, fucking football manager, just being an absolute degenerate. Going to Edinburgh, and it was a bunch of like middle-aged white people. And apologies to you guys. You're great. Just didn't like my comedy. So I bombed hard. But that was the first instance where I was like, man, I don't want to do things where I have to shrink myself or change myself or mold myself into something palatable for other people, for people to get me. I just want to do my own thing. So then I went back and I started my own comedy night called Hip Hop Haha when I was at uni. And it was a comedy night where we played old school hip hop and did food. And that was like a thing. That was pretty cool. I used to host there. And then when I did Munch Club TV, it was because I wanted to do a cooking show, but I couldn't see cooking shows that were like me. So I just made my own cooking show on YouTube, and you can check that out if you want. It's all quite old now, but yeah, that was quite cool. And again, that was me being like, I want to do something independently. And then obviously I started Quickstop. And the dream really is the same, I'm still chasing the same dream I wanted when I was 6, 7 years old, and that is to make things using my personality. And it's crazy, you can. It's scary because at some point, do you have to give up that dream, become a normal person, concentrate on your career? is it ever going to work out? You know, you read some of the comments and you're like, oh, is this worth it? But I would be miserable if I couldn't make content, like miserable. Even just making this content now and being in a position where I can make content makes me feel so happy, and it completes me in a way. People ask what I do for fun. Like, this is what I do for fun. And they can't comprehend that making content and editing it makes me feel happy. And yeah, that's it. That's what I want to do. That's my dream. So yeah, that answers that question. Right. Well, look, guys, I think that's a good note to end it on. Thank you so much for your questions. I hope I didn't just like rant and rave at you for like an hour. But I really enjoy doing these. Let me know if you enjoy doing these as well. And I'd love to do more of these as the season goes on, because I find them really fun, just being able to talk to you guys, answer your questions. And yeah, thank you for the support. Remember, like, subscribe, all of them things there. And remember, sometimes I need to remember this as well. No matter what life throws at you, keep it on the black stuff. Mwah. Love you. Take care.
Look, mate, if you've got this far, clearly you like what we do. So here's a link to subscribe to the Quicks Up F1 family. Give that a click. And here's another link to some more cool on our channel. Sorry, cool stuff. And remember, no matter what happens, keep it on the black stuff. Click the stuff. Click the links. Click the links. Click the links. There. They're there.